guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. It feels like months since I last said that line. I think it's actually been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, here or there. So I think I had some videos that I'd recorded in advance or something, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, it's good to be back, it's good to be back, it is good to be back. Now, having taken on board some of the feedback from the viewer survey that I sent out 3 weeks ago now, I think it was. I have decided to make this video a little bit longer than usual. It's going to be split into two main sections. I have no idea how I'm going to do the music or anything like that yet, but we'll see. And effectively, I am completing the East Coast route, or at least I am as far as Bahecity. There is a junction station you'll see me build in the second part of this episode. Originally, it was going to be a Y junction facing west, so that the two lines would diverge. So from the east coast you would come down into this junction station and then you could either go towards Bahecity or you could continue down the coast. Instead, it's now an east facing Y junction, so any trains that will continue down the coast will have to reverse at this station. And I kind of wanted to include that for sort of realism purposes. It kind of doesn't make sense from an operational point of view because trains will go north up the coast, get to that station and then head south back to Bahecity. You know, there aren't many lines in the world where that's actually the way it goes. But I liked the idea and it kind of fitted into the space a little bit better rather than having to, you know, bulldoze huge amounts of town and city, which is kind of what I'm doing here. You might have seen at the start, I drove a bulldozer straight through the middle of two towns and a city or two, just to fit the line in. Now, something I said before about these lines is they have to look like they've existed for a long time. So it's not ideal bulldozing things, and I know I've criticised designs of stations and things in the past because of the amount of bulldozing required, but I think sometimes it is a necessary evil, and you don't see it here in this video, but I have gone back and fixed a lot of the places that I've bulldozed to try and make it, you know, regrow and be good again. But I try to avoid it where possible, but sometimes with, you know, a route like this, for example, is a major main line that was meant to have existed before half these cities even grew. So, you know, as I said, it's a necessary evil. It kind of makes sense to do it like this. Now, one thing I was supposed to do for this video is grab some rail news that I can talk about, because that's something else that people have missed in the series and would like to see return. I will do that for the second half of this video, I think, because I'm going to record this in several batches. I've already recorded the footage in 2 sections. I might even record the voiceovers in 2 sections. There are going to be periods where I'm not talking during the video. I'm just going to let the music play and let the time-lapse play out. That's something I'm going to be doing a lot more now as well. If these videos are going to be longer, because I think the general consensus was about 45 minutes for some of these time-lapse videos, which means I have to record about 4 hours worth of footage. I think for this video I've recorded just under 2 hours worth. And I've not sped it up as fast as I normally would, as I'm sure you can see, to try and make it a 45-ish minute video. But where was I going with this? It was something really important and really profound and intelligent sounding. Oh yeah, I can't talk for 45 minutes at a time. Not with something like this anyway, because there's only so much you can say about what you're doing on the screen, and then you're kind of waiting for the next thing to happen. So I'm going to refer to some other time-lapse videos I've seen in the past where, you know, when there's something to talk about, I'll talk about it. When there's not much to talk about, I'm just going to let the video play out. This little peninsula thing here, I was tempted to convert it into a bridge, and I thought, do you know what? I kind of like the idea of a land bridge instead, so I went with that. There are, I believe, 3 new interchange stations built along this route. Each one connects up a series of lines. The lines that are connecting up that aren't part of this route, at the moment they're provisionary. So I have no plans for them at this moment in time. I've just added them to the design now so that when the time comes in the future I don't have to rebuild these stations. It's just a case of there's the connection, jobs are good. So I'm sort of preemptively answering that question before it gets asked. This is also me realizing that I got the configuration of the lines wrong. It goes slow, slow, fast, fast if you're looking from left to right. For some reason I thought the slow lines were in, the fast lines were in the center of the slow lines, but they're not. I'm also a little bit bunged up today. You can probably hear that in my voice. I apologize for that. I've, again, not long woken up. That seems to be my my habit at the moment, is roll out of bed straight into the recording studio. But yeah, bit bunged up, bit sniffly, nothing serious, it's all good. But yeah, my voice, I just realised, sounds really nasally and deep and different. I don't know, some people like it when their voice does that. I'm not a huge fan myself. Where was I going with this? Oh yes, so these lines here, you can see I've added a little branch line here. As I said, I've no plans for it currently. I don't know where it's going to run from, where it's going to run to, but I've just included it here so that if I do end up adding more lines in the future, it's ready. You know, I don't have to rebuild stations, I don't have to do huge rebuilding projects, it's just ready. Right, I think I'm going to leave the talking for a second, let the music play out a little bit, and then the next time there's something important to talk about, I will be back. So this little section here where the line starts to turn towards the coast again, I was very much inspired here by what I did on the west coast, and I wanted to try and mirror that as much as possible. So right now it doesn't look too extravagant. I think it's a little bit further along the coast actually, where I build this sort of big hillside monument type thing that the track then snakes its way round the outside of. But one thing I found about this route, it's a bit like the East Coast Main Line here in the UK. We call it the East Coast Main Line. It's only when you get north of Newcastle really that you actually see the East Coast from it. And the West Coast Main Line doesn't go anywhere near the West Coast really. On the way up to Birmingham and stuff, it's sort of 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 miles away from the coast. It's only really, they're only called East and West Coast because of the sort of relative direction of travel rather than the actual location of both of them. Whereas on this network, they are sort of coastal, mostly coastal, sort of coastal. Sometimes there is a coast involved. The south coastline, for example, is predominantly south coast. The north coastline isn't, and then the east and west. I suppose the west one does run mostly along the coast, but this east coast one sort of jumps in and out from inland to out on the edge like this. But I kind of like that. I tried to turn it here towards the coast. You kind of see I've gone off the line a little bit here in order to be able to build this, but I like this. That's the whole point of doing projects like this, is you know, you plan it out as much as you like, but when it actually comes to building it, you do end up drifting off and doing your own thing still. And that's, I guess, one thing that I'm quite well known for with this series is kind of planning these things out and then doing something a little bit different anyway. I don't mind having that sort of label thrown at me, let's say. It's that, you know, there's worse things people can say for sure. But yeah, I was a bit anxious about doing this build because I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. But besides this huge cutting that I'm about to dig out here, I think I've done a good job of making the line look like it's existed for a while. So I'm actually pretty happy in that respect. And a lot of these towns and cities that have now been connected, I can see them certainly being very, very popular. Now, for those interested in the map, and also if they wanted to perhaps become a franchise holder here, the stations I will be building in the second half of the video once I've done the signaling, and I will be naming them in the video as well. So I haven't got a list in front of me. I have actually got the game open on my other screen, so I could potentially check, but I haven't got a list of the station names in front of me. But they're basically the names of the towns. Sometimes there's an extra word added at the end. Sometimes I've combined names together, so it'd be something and something. But I've tried, when I was naming them on screen, I tried to make it so that you could see what I was typing and you could see the name of the town. So check the top left corner, because that's where the box opens whenever I start. You know, whenever I click on a town name, and I tried to leave the text box on the screen for as long as possible as well, but I'm not really sure with the screen resolution whether or not it would still be legible or not. If it isn't, then let me know and I'll come up with a list for you guys. George in particular, because of the map and the station codes, because there's a whole new load of stations that need to be added. This one here, by the way, I'm building now, this is probably my second favourite interchange station on this route. I do still like Suam Milia as an interchange. I think that was pretty good. And again, you know, this is an interchange station. You can see there's fast and slow lines coming in from the west here as well. No plans right now as to where they're going to go. I've just added them in now so that they're there. Simple as that. Right, again, I'm going to stop talking. I'll be back again momentarily. So this is the approach to that sort of land monument that I was talking about, and it seemed perfect to build it here. Just the way that you see how the terrain is a bit more rugged than usual in this section here, and it just felt like a really good fitting location to build something like this. And I have another one, might be here, might be a little bit further along actually, thinking about it. But just this thing where a bit like the Guard City Great Eastern Main Line, where the terrain obviously came first and then the railway was built around it. It's very easy just to carve through absolutely everything, which the Victorians did do to an extent, let's be fair. But I wanted to avoid doing that completely in this project. Sometimes I wanted things to look a little bit more natural, and actually right here is where I built the second one. You can see me kind of prepping the land now, and I actually moved the ocean as well. What king was it? It wasn't Midas, I don't think. There was a king, actually it might be Midas, who waged war with the oceans. And I kind of, you know, moved the ocean here. Some of these world leaders, absolutely crazy. We think we got it bad now, but back then, lunacy. Anyway, let's not go there. So again, this is kind of, you know, you got the big rugged mountain there, and then you got this little bit of flat terrain, bit of welcome relief, shall we say, for the trains. And then suddenly you've got this sort of zigzag section here as well, where the track just undulates here and there and goes round. And then this gap that you can see me building between the tracks here, that gets filled in with sea. So I very shortly dig all that out as well. Again, I think here I go slightly off. There it is, there's me digging it out. I go slightly off the line, so the line here has me going back inland, but I realised, I mean, there's a couple of reasons why I didn't do that. First of all, this city that I'm about to connect to here is Mahusiv, so it makes sense to actually build the station there instead and have buses or trams or whatever connect up to the other towns. Second of all, in order to get through that hill, I'd have to have two very, very tight 90-degree turns, and then maybe a set of tunnels or something like that. And I'm sure I mentioned when I was planning out this route that you know, it's going to be built to the Realism Initiative standard, and because of that, not really happy with the idea of having these sharp 90-degree turns. So that idea goes out the window quite quickly at that point, and I end up just building out on the coast here still. And this actually leads to the conundrum. So this is where the connection point is supposed to be, and right at this moment I'm debating how to build this station. So originally, as you can see, the plan was to actually have a south-facing junction. I got it wrong. I said east-facing, but west-facing. Sorry, but it's not. It's south-facing. And at that point, the lines would diverge. One would turn east and head towards Bahecity. The other one would keep going south towards. Is it Prunford? I think it's Prunford, the south-east station on the map. But because of the new angle of approach that I'm taking here, including this other section here where we sort of zigzag round a mountain, we do miss out some towns, unfortunately, because of this, but I don't know, it kind of works out still. But yeah, this is where I end up building an east-west facing junction station. And again, there's currently a line that connects up to the east coast still that I have no plans for. As you can see, I have not even planned it out to an extent. It sort of goes down a little bit on the plan here and then just ends. I have a sneeze coming, 1 second. Oh, apologies if you heard that. So yeah, I've just planned it out here. 4 lines coming in, 2 lines for slow and fast coming out. I don't know. I was quite happy with it. Maybe you guys think I should have put 4 lines on the other side as well. But when you see how I've kind of integrated it in, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. Right, I'm going to stop talking again here, but I will be back momentarily for the second part of the video where I'm doing the signalling and the stations. So I will see you all then. So we have finished building the connection here for now. We've got the second half of the project at this point, which is connecting this up to Wellington Tranquility, I believe it is. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it is. I think I'm right. So the first step here was to build this slow line little cutting here, and I believe this station is actually called Cutting. Name of the town, Cutting. One thing I have noticed after building this, in fact, was there's no connections really between the slow lines and the fast lines at any of these junction stations, which might sound like a problem, but because of the new signaling system controlling the speed limits that I'm now using here, it actually ends up not being too bad, because I can build more junctions along the main route rather than just sticking them around stations, which I think personally makes it a lot easier to run, because not every train will cross over at junctions, whereas most trains would cross over at stations. So I don't know, we'll see, we will see. It's kind of an experiment. I could always rebuild some if necessary to make it work, but I don't think I will have to, which is good. This is also the point where I switch between slow, slow, fast, fast, and slow, fast, fast, slow, in terms of the actual lines here. So you'll see in just a second, I will build some bridges here for the fast lines to go over the top of the slow lines, right here, and this is the switchover point. This is actually the best version of this I've ever built on the network, I would say, in terms of the way it works. I think it works really, really well. Very, very happy. And again, this was kind of a last minute realization that down where the two lines would meet, the configuration of the lines was in fact different, so it kind of made sense to do the conversion here and have this section of the line be a continuation of the line out of Bahecity rather than the other way around. Ultimately it really doesn't matter, but this is the way I decided to do it. Trying to connect it all back up to the main line again here, or at least the planned route. Got that bit there slightly wrong. But yeah, let me know what you think of this down in the comments, because I wanted to build this one first before doing the line between Munfingford and the south coast, mainly because this is the one that people have been asking about the most. Every time I ask for ideas for future episodes, and normally when I ask that, what I actually mean is new ideas, but always I get the response of, can you finish off the east coast? So I took the hint, and here we are finishing off the east coast. So hopefully everyone's happy again now, and people can start suggesting some more new ideas to go along with the existing ones that we've got here. Yes, I will be building the Munfingford lines as the next big project. Yes, I will also be adding more trains to the network. Since recording this footage, actually, which I did yesterday, I have started looking at getting the West Winds line fully operational. I think it would work. I'm trying to plan it out in advance now, so I don't end up with the GWR mistake again, which is doing too much too soon. I also made that mistake on the Great Northern as well, and I'm not blaming the GWR. It just happens to be the one that I'm whiffed up on. But I think the West Winds would work with the new system. It'd be nice to have mainline trains rolling in and out of GSE again, because right now GSG has trains, GSJ has trains, GSMA has trains, GSP has trains, GSMI has trains, GSC has trains. The only two that don't, mainline trains, are GSE and GST. Plus the new station when it eventually gets built, which I have sort of settled on a name for. I'm sort of toying between two, neither of which have been suggested yet, or at least I don't think they have. One I really like, one I'm sort of more inclined to go with because it'll be easier to distinguish between that and other stations. I haven't got repeat letters, don't worry, there isn't two GSPs or anything like that, but you know, one sounds like one of the other letters. I might as well say one could be GSB for Bartholomew, and one could be GSF for Francis. I prefer Francis because GSF is, you know, a series of syllables that I've not used before. GSB though, I do like the idea of a Saint Bartholomew. But I don't know, we'll see. We will see. Either could work. You know, I don't prefer one over the other because I think one would work better, apart from the pronunciation, which I've already said. So this section of line that I'm about to build here, trying to segue away from that now because it's not that interesting, let's be honest. This section of line I'm building here was arguably one of the most challenging to actually build on the entire route here. Mainly because it's just the hills. You know, you have one hill, then you have another hill, then you have another hill, and there's no sort of natural break between them. It's literally one, then the other, then the other. And you can see here I've kind of built it on this shelf. I'm clinging to the hill edge here. It's just, it was, I don't know. When I planned this out, I guess I didn't think this bit through very well. And even this section here, trying to thread it between these two towns. Oh, I don't do that in the end. I thought I did, but apparently I don't. I just bundle underneath instead. I might rebuild that section actually. Yeah, I might rebuild that. Then you have a nice swishing switchback section of track, which I'm trying to think of a real life example. The seawall at Dawlish has something a bit like that, where it kind of turns left and then sweeps right, or vice versa, depending on which direction you're travelling. And I quite like that. I think it looks kind of cool. And I wouldn't mind replicating. I mean, the whole west coast section where it sort of jumps in and out of rock formations and goes through tunnels and things like that, that is all based on the GWR down at Dawlish, where it tunnels through the cliffs. I think it's kind of nice. I think it's almost the law that every time you have a coastal route, it should do that, because I don't know. I don't even think Brunel was responsible for that section of track, but whoever designed that section of the GWR was just brilliant. It's really clever design, and it's struggling to withstand the test of time these days. You know, they're talking about rebuilding huge sections of the seawall at Dawlish, for example, but I still think it's a marvel in engineering that they actually managed to get it built back in Victorian times to begin with. It's an incredible place to go and visit, particularly if you're a rail enthusiast as well, because you know, you've got nice sea views on one side, and then on the other side you've got a main railway line. It's the only rail connection between Devon and Cornwall. That's not true. It's the only rail connection between the west of England and the rest of England. Where did I get Devon and Cornwall from? That's the Tamar Bridge at Saltash. It's the only real rail connection between those two. Anyway, we have connected. All the metals are joined. So now it's a case of doing the signalling and building the stations. Now, as I said before, I'm not using waypoints for most of this route. I'll be using waypoints out of this station because it's conventional along with the rest. But I was kind of thinking about this the other day. You kind of have two systems of signalling and speed limiting here in the UK now. You've got the conventional speed limit signs and signals are two separate things, which you will see across most of the network. So you'll always have a signal and a speed limit sign operating separately, because let's face it, speed limit signs don't need to operate on any kind of network or system. The only time they do sort of intertwine with one another is when there's a speed reduction, and the AWS system will notify the driver of that, and there'll be an alarm that has to be responded to. However, you also have the TVM system, which is used on High Speed 1, where speed limits are integrated into the signaling system. So every time you go through a signal, you'll then have a speed limit target, which you have to reach by the next signal. So I know this from playing Train Simulator and experiencing it firsthand. So speed limits are controlled directly by the signals. So particularly if you're driving a Javelin and you're stopping at, say, Stratford, you will have a series of targets to hit for the next speed limit by the next signal. And that will help the driver slow down correctly in order to arrive at the station in a safe manner. And that's kind of how this game now works. So you have waypoints, which act as conventional speed limit signs, which operate separately to signals, and then you have signals, which you can control speed limits from, which act very much like the TVM system. I think that's a good way of looking at it, because in-cab signalling is now coming to the UK. It already exists on High Speed 1, but the southern end of the East Coast Main Line, I think between London and Peterborough, is getting converted to ECMS. Is it ECMS? I think it's ECMS. Electric Control... do you know what? I can't even remember. Let me Google. Digital Railway. Let's see if Google can interpret that correctly. Digital Railway... Oh, there's a company called that. Whoops. Digital Railway East. What am I doing? Oh, I keep deleting. Right, Digital Railway East Coast. Let's also put my phone on silent in case there's a video play. But yeah, digital signalling is coming to the UK. So I thought, what better way to kind of show that than by having digital railways come to the M4J network as well. So the new network central route that we built a few weeks ago now, that will all be operating on in-cab signalling, which even, I mean, this is meant to be set in the late 80s, early 90s. So let's say the M4J network had a bit of a leg up in terms of signalling technology. But it will be applied to other parts of the network as well. I think I'm going to convert the high-speed and trans-rapid routes into that sort of system too, because particularly for the order limit, it would kill on the trans-rapid to have a train supposedly go from, let's say, 20 miles an hour to 350. That just is unfeasible. So I'll have to come up with a better way to ETCS level 2. That's what it's called. European Train Control System. I should know this. It is level 2. I believe there is a level 3. So I'm not sure why we've not gone for that. Unless that is TVM. That might be TVM, thinking about it. But anyway, it's coming. It's happening. King's Cross is being expanded. The approaches to 6 tracks instead of the current 4. Which I've always found that weird, that one of the major stations in the UK only has 4 approach tracks. Particularly when they are bidirectional, they all are bidirectional, but they operate mostly as unidirectional, with the occasional train running wrong line. So to have 6 tracks instead of 4, that would be a huge boost for capacity, especially as you can then use the western 2 tracks for slow trains only, because there's only 3 slow platforms, and then have the other 4 be used for the remaining 8 fast platforms. So it's basically one line per 2 platforms, which kind of works out. 350 million quid it's going to cost. I don't know whether that's cheap or not. I'm always surprised when a rail project doesn't reach the billions these days, but then I guess that's just become the norm. Anyway, I'm starting to build some stations here. You'll see some interesting station designs along the way too. A lot of these junction stations I've left quite ordinary for now. If anyone wishes to redesign them for me, they're more than welcome to do so. Discord or Reddit is the best place to post pictures of that. But, as I've said before, and I will say it again, and I'll be firm and strict this time, you get one chance to design a station. I'm not going to go back and forth tit for tat trying to get the design sorted. You get one chance, and it has to meet the M4J network standards. So no going off piste, no going rogue and trying to do your own thing, because the design just won't be used. And this is really to save me time, because I'm getting a little bit short on time with all these different projects that I've got going on, and I really can't afford to be going back and forth saying, oh, now can you tweak this? So look at some previous designs of the network, download the map off m4jmedia.com, have a look at some of the previous designs, and base your designs on that, basically. And the best one, if there is one, because there might not be one, but the best one will be chosen and will be integrated into the network. So I'm going to let music take over again for a little bit, because I've talked quite a lot here, and I'll be back again momentarily. Alright, I'm back just to do the summation of the video and finish it up, wrap it up nicely, neatly and tidily in a bow, and send it out to you guys ready to watch. I would like to see quite a lot of feedback on this video, because I have listened to what you guys have asked for, and hopefully I've delivered it in the way that you guys wanted it. But I kind of want this video to be the kickstart of this series again. So it'd be cool if you guys could share it in as many places as possible. It would also be awesome if the view count was particularly high, and if the like count was particularly high, and if the comment count was particularly high as well. Because this series is kind of what's the word? Swayed slightly. But I've said that before, and people have offered some feedback as to why that might be, which is why I'm doing this now. So hopefully we've kind of found its ground again, and we can push on and make this thing work still. You might also notice with this route, I've included a lot more fast platforms than I normally would. The semi-fast trains I think are going to use the fast lines more than the slow lines for the most of this route. And that's kind of to expand the distances that they can actually travel. You know, it's kind of a sentence, it doesn't really mean anything when you say it like that, but one thing I noticed with the Bahecity Connect route is a lot of the slow trains were kind of getting in the way of the semi-fast, or stopping some semi-fast trains from even running in the first place. And I wanted to avoid that here. So that's why I've done that, so that, you know, some of the bigger towns, for example, have platforms on both lines rather than just the slow. Right, we have pretty much come to the end of the episode, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Like I said, be sure to get the like count up, and the comment count, and the view count. That would be nice too. I'd like to see this one hit triple figures if possible. It's been a while since an OpenTTD video did that, so it'd be awesome if that was doable. But yeah, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. Like I said, the South Coast connection will be done next time, so please don't suggest that. Any other new ideas, things that haven't yet been done, try to be a bit specific as well, because it's quite a big network, so trying to find the things you're talking about can be a bit tricky at times. But yeah, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.